welcome back to another edition of Midweek Mojo. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you took some time to spend with your family and just relax and catch up. I know I definitely did, and I enjoyed myself. So I want to give a special shout out today before I get started to the entrepreneurial class and the virtual enterprise class of Miss McMahon at MLK campus in Lincoln Center. I had a chance to speak with you guys on Wednesday on my birthday, and to be honest, that was one of the best birthday gifts that I could have ever had. I had an awesome time with you guys. You guys were fun, and I just wanted to give you a shout out. Keep doing what you guys are doing and keep pushing, keep pressing, because I know that all of you guys have greatness in store for you in the future. So I want to talk to you guys about something today. So there's a football player by the name of Terrell Owens. I believe he is retired now, but I was just reading up on his story. And just to start with his performance, let's talk about that. Just looking at his stats alone, he is no doubt one of the best running backs to ever touch the football field. He's ran well over 15,000 yards, well over 150 touchdowns. Statistically speaking, there's no arguing that he was a dynamite football player. But there were some issues that we had with him. So he played for several teams over the course of his career. And one thing I realized is that despite his performance on the field, he had a horrible track record behind the scenes. You see, every team that he went to, there was a catastrophe there. There was some kind of chaos there. He had issues with the coaches. He had issues with the team members. He would get into it with people that he would be interviewed by. He had so many different issues everywhere that he went. And I was watching an interview where he was speaking to another football player as well as the person that was interviewing him. And one thing that stuck out to me about him is that in this interview, the interviewee did bring up the fact that Terrell Owens had an amazing track record in terms of his playing on the field. But one thing that this interviewee didn't like about Terrell Owens was the catastrophe and the drama that was associated with him. So everywhere that he went, every team that he went to, he brought some kind of negative energy with him. There was always a big fight. There was always some kind of controversy, right? And the thing about this interview was that with Terrell Owens, while being interviewed, he always was pointing the finger at somebody else. For the issues that he had with his coaches, he would blame the coaches for the issue. If he had an issue with his team member, he would blame the team member for the issue. If the game was lost, I remember him quoting and saying that they lost because the quarterback didn't pass him the ball enough. With all these issues surrounding Terrell Owens, there's one thing that stood out to me very plain and very potently. He played the blame game with every single situation. Not one time during that interview did I hear him take any accountability for his actions. And that brings us to today's topic, which is something that I've found to be called the Bob Principle. And I'm sure each and every person here can relate to this because it's something that we've all seen before. So the Bob Principle pretty much states this. If Bob has a problem with everyone, Bob is probably the problem. And I'm sure we can all relate to that because there may have been someone that we've come across in our lives who has an issue with everyone. It's like you have an issue with your job. You have an issue with your coworkers. You have an issue with your boss. You have issues with your spouse. You have issues with your friends. You have issues with the cat and the dog. There are some people that have issues with everybody. And I found that these people that have issues with each and every person around them, they really are the issue. If you find that you have several issues or a multitude of issues with a multitude of people, you have to be honest and ask yourself, am I the problem? Maybe it's me. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's something that we all need to ask ourselves and reflect on. If I have issues with each and every person that I come across, if all my friendships are failing, if all of my choices are bad, who is there to blame other than me? You are the captain of your life. You have to make choices and hold yourself accountable to the choices that you make in your life. So with the Bob Principle that we're going to discuss, there are some key things that you need to ask yourself to really discover if you are a Bob or not. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, am I guilty of what I criticize others for? Let's say you're being critical of someone because they have bad communication skills. Or maybe you think that they're very hostile and they have an attitude. Ask yourself now, before you condemn them, am I guilty of the same thing that they're doing? Remember to always look within yourself. Imagine two men who were convicted of the same type of murder, premeditated murder. Both of them were convicted for the same exact crime, yet they're arguing over who's the better person. They're arguing because, no, you're a murderer. No, you're a murderer. the end of the day, you're both murderers. So you have to be honest with yourself and say, am I guilty of what I criticize others for? And before I go to the next point, I do want to make a very quick distinction between constructive criticism and being critical of someone. You see, when you give someone constructive criticism, you're giving them positive and negative feedback for the purpose of edifying them and encouraging them to grow and become better. But when you're being critical of someone now, being critical is only just giving negative feedback with the intent to tear down. Now, being critical can happen in one of two ways. Some people are just completely oblivious to the fact that they're being critical. And there are other people who are critical with an intent. They know that they're being critical and their purpose really is to tear you down. There are some people who are so skilled at pointing out the flaws within others, but they fail to realize the flaws within themselves. I want you to just really take a moment and let that sit in your mind. Are you guilty of that? You always point the finger and point out what somebody does wrong. You never really talk about the right things that they do, but you're always magnifying their mistakes. Do you magnify mistakes or do you help correct people's mistakes? So now our second point. Are you adding to the problem or are you creating solutions to the problem? You see, if there's a fire raging, you can only do one of two things. You can either add water to douse that fire, or you can add fuel, which is going to feed that fire. But you can't do both at the same time. There's an organization that I'm partnered with right now. And one of my tasks as the leader there is helping them become more effective at communicating with one another, specifically helping them communicate issues in a way that's going to be productive so that they can come up with solutions and actually implement those solutions. So I remember speaking with a woman who was very frustrated. She kept trying to voice her opinion. She was trying to voice her emotions and some concerns that she had for the organization. But it felt like her words were falling on deaf ears. Many times when she would voice her opinion, she was met with hostility. She approached them in a peaceful way, but her peace was met with hostility. And what began to happen was she started to fight fire with fire. Instead of adding water to that fire and keeping peace, she began to add fuel to that fire by meeting hostility with hostility. As tempting as it may be to become a part of the problem subconsciously, you have to make a decision, make a conscious decision to either put water on that fire or add fuel to that fire. But you cannot do both at the same time. You cannot be both the solution and the problem. You have to choose one. And this brings us to the third point. You can either do one of two things. Once again, you can be a person that is a professional at identifying problems, or you can be a person that is a professional, that is articulate and exceptional at creating solutions to the problems. One rule of thumb that I try to keep with all the organizations that I am a part of is this. For every issue that you can identify, for every problem that you can identify, as you're identifying these problems, also present maybe 2 to 3 possible solutions to those problems. Problems are going to come up. Obstacles will always come our way in life, especially when collaborating with other people. But identifying the problem itself is not enough. You see, a person who fits this description of the bar principle, they only identify the problems. But rarely, if ever, do they come with solutions to those problems. So today I want you to make sure that you're not being a Bob. Make sure that you're not being problem-oriented instead of solution-oriented. I want you to just think back to the things that we've discussed today. And before you point the finger at someone else for what they're doing, I want you to make sure that you're not guilty of the same thing. And once you can say that you are innocent with a clean conscience, then I want you to be a part of the solution and help others to fix the problems that they may be creating. You cannot fight fire with fire. Only that water can put out the fire. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for watching this video. Thank you to all of you who have been supporting the channel thus far. If you like this video, hit that like button down below. If you have any comments or any feedback, drop it in the comment box below. Also, for those who have not done so yet, hit that subscribe button right now. And also, you can hit the little bell that's next to the subscribe button. What that bell will do now, it notifies you every single time that these videos come out. And once again, I'll be dropping these videos each and every Wednesday. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And do not forget about tonight's conference call. I am super excited and pumped up. I've already gotten some feedback from some people that are really looking forward to the call. So I'm really hoping to meet each and every one of you on that call. Come with your pen, come with a notepad, get ready to take some great notes, and definitely come with some questions. I'm going to have about maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the call so that I can have a little Q&A session, because I do want to hear from you guys. So once again, the information for this conference call will be posted at the end of this video. So I hope everyone has a great rest of the week. I hope you guys dominate. Keep pushing through the rest of the week. Don't get lazy, because it's hump day and it's Wednesday. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you on the call tonight. Have a great week.